And we're back. If you're tuning in to the second part of our stream, we've just finished doing the Nexus. So that's where we're at right now. We're still in the Grizzly Hills, level 77. We'll be done with this pretty soon, to be honest. I'm going to queue for some more instances. But yeah, so we were just talking about Shadowlands and the pre-event and what we think, what we want. I'm hoping that, I mean, we know who we're going to encounter, or some of the people we're going to encounter in the Shadowlands. Some of the dead, should I say, that we're going to encounter. So we know that in Revendreth we're supposed to encounter Kel'Thas Sunstrider. And I really hope that's true, because, you know, like, that would be cool. I want... Oh, name one dead character I want to see return. Well, he is dead, but he could return because I want to see Kel'Thuzad return. And the reason I want to see Kel'Thuzad return is because he can return, and that's because his phylactery was never destroyed after Naxxramas. So he's still technically alive in his phylactery. So I want Kel'Thuzad. And Kel'Thuzad, if you ask me, should either come back in Shadowlands, because it would be perfect, or should take over the Scourge while we're dealing with the Shadowlands problem and Bolvar's absent. And then when we come back from the Shadowlands, we've got a Scourge problem, and Kel'Thuzad's assembled a new Scourge, or he's done something, and we've got to stop Kel'Thuzad. Kel'Thuzad, being what he is, would be a great enemy, and I think he's big enough a character. Restitch Patchwork. One character to bring back. I think we need a Lightforged Garrosh Hellscream. We need Garrosh to be redeemed as a paladin. I'm kidding. We need Garrosh to come back as a Lightforged paladin by the Light Lords, and then give Orcs paladins.
I need to target something first.
No, I'm fucking with you. No, we don't. But it's I would love to see Kel'Thuzad come back, just because, as I say, he's not dead. Blizzard know this. It's been brought up to them enough times, and they know what they did. The phylactery was never destroyed.
I am out of range.
Other dead characters I'd like to see come back. It depends on context and how you bring them back as well, but I would love to see characters returning. Well, I hope in Shadowlands, I mean, not bring them back, but encounter them in Shadowlands. It's been done, and this character's been flogged with a dead horse, but I want Arthas in Shadowlands. He saw only darkness, so that means he must be Yogg-Saron, yeah. If he's dead. He's an old god. Do we ever know if they're truly dead? Because, for example, but I don't know, you see. I want Arthas, because Arthas saw only darkness. That would mean, I believe, because Torghast is where the jailer kept the most foul and wretched souls in the afterlife. That's what we know. Torghast is where the darkest and most wretched of souls go. I believe that the reason that Arthas saw only darkness is because the jailer claimed his soul upon death. I believe the jailer said, "No, you're too dangerous," and took his soul to Torghast. So, I mean, what we know is that any character that's died basically since Wrath, yeah, his death, he comes back to normal, but I believe that because Arthas was the dominant force, because in the lore, Arthas was the dominant spirit within the Helm of Domination, which means that even though he had the necromantic power, it was still Arthas, and Arthas still made those choices. That would mean that, theoretically speaking, Arthas was damned. So Arthas will have gone to Torghast. He definitely will be in Torghast. and other characters. So we know basically since the Edge of Night, and the machinery of death has been broken. So Sylvanas struck a bargain. So there's basically we know the problem with the Maw, with the machinery of death being broken, is that every soul has been sent to Torghast. And the Maw. The Maw is where all these spirits are going. Even the good spirits who should be going to Bastion or Ardenweald if they're druids or in tune with nature. Instead, they're all going to this prison. So, characters I hope we bump into in the Shadowlands. Uther, the spirit of Uther the Lightbringer. I imagine we'll see him in Bastion because of his service. Tyrion Fordring will be definitely, I imagine, in Torghast, and that's because we know the machinery of death was broken by the time Tyrion Fordring died in Legion. I would like to see Arthas' spirit somewhere in Torghast, maybe even make him powerful. Or maybe we free him from Torghast. Maybe we send him to Bastion. Maybe we give Arthas a peaceful afterlife. Maybe that's the closure, and the end of the Arthas chapter is we help Arthas move on. I want to see Saurfang because he will be at Torghast. He will definitely be in Torghast because he was killed directly by the person in league with the jailer. I like the idea of if we find Arthas in Torghast, maybe one of our objectives with Arthas is that we sort of not pardon his crimes, but we effectively get him out of torment because, you know, he screwed up, but, you know, he did have all these dark powers flowing through him. So really, maybe we get to not redeem him, but give him a just afterlife for the fact that he was a good man who got corrupted trying to save the people he loved. Basically, he is Anakin Skywalker, but, you know, give him not a redemption, but give him a peaceful afterlife so that we know what happened to him. Give it a conclusion. Same with Kel'Thas Sunstrider. We know he's gone to Revendreth, which is where the Venthyr, those vampire, like, Nosferatu cool fuckers are. And that's because he was prideful and vain, and he was a bad spirit, but he wasn't evil. Yeah, he was just selfish. And so he was sent to Revendreth to repent for his sins. Basically, Revendreth is where it's penance. It's a place where spirits who have too much ego and pride go to shed all of their pride, because Revendreth, the vampiric Venthyr, feed on that there. Now, I want to see Kel'Thas put... I mean, as much as I love Blood Elf lore, I want to see Kel'Thas Sunstrider put through the ringer for being a douchebag, and then coming back from the dead and still being a douchebag.
I require a target.
Don't get me wrong, I love him, but, like,
I need to target
no.
something first.
Like, you know, he basically sold his people down the river for fell power. I know they were desperate, but then on top of that, he made a bargain with the Legion, and then came back from the dead, made a bargain with Kil'jaeden, and summoned him into the sacred land of his own people, the Sunwell. So he deserves the bad, torturous afterlife that he's going to get in Revendreth. But I'm looking forward to it. Looking forward to seeing it. Other characters I want to bump into there. It will be interesting because we know that the Necrolords in what's his own called now? There's Revendreth, Bastion. There's Revendreth, Bastion, and there's the Night Fae in the other place. Maladraxxus. Maladraxxus, we know, is basically the military engine of the Shadowlands, and the Necrolords are like the military force. On top of that, we know that that's basically where the Scourge get their Scourgy powers from, and so there's like a lot of Necrolords which are kind of like liches and abomination-looking creatures there. So we know that that's the military and the undead and stuff, and that's basically where the warring characters go. Now, I would say that's where Saurfang should go, because of his orcish warring culture and honour and blood and thunder. But he won't go there because, of course, the machinery of death is broken. We do know that Draka, Durotan, a main universe Draka, wife of Durotan, she is there. She's going to be one of the characters, and apparently she's risen to provenance within the Necrolords and Maladraxxus. Who else would I want to see, though, in Maladraxxus, for example? Garrosh. Garrosh should be in Maladraxxus as a warlord, because that's where the warlords go. So we should theoretically see Kargath Bladefist, we should see Kilrog Deadeye, we should see Grom Hellscream. All of these people should be in Maladraxxus. They should all be in Maladraxxus. Because it fits the orcish culture and the nature of who they are so well. Who else should we see in Maladraxxus? Broxagar Saurfang. We should see Dranosh Saurfang, you know, who Arthas raised as Deathbringer Saurfang. He should be in Maladraxxus. Because of the orcish culture. Basically, most of the noble orcs should have gone to Maladraxxus. The only ones that would go to Bastion, I think, would be Thrall. And the reason I say Thrall would go to Bastion is because Bastion's like a paladin-y place, and it's about order. It's about order. So, Bastion's for those who've had a lifetime of service and servitude. So, in service of the light, you'd probably see, if Tyrion hadn't been sent to the Maw because of the timing of his death, because of the death engine being broken, as we've been told, and all the souls are going to the Maw, and they're all in the Maw, which is not where they're supposed to be, that means that Tyrion, if he would have gone to the right place, and he should have gone to Bastion with the other paladins, where I believe we would encounter people like Uther, or if Arthas had never been corrupted, Arthas. I think that the old gods, I don't know if they go to the Shadowlands. I don't know where the old gods go, because old god aberrations were going to Nyalotha. But where were the other old gods in Nyalotha? Why was just N'Zoth there? Where were the other old gods in Nyalotha? Where was Cthulhu? Where was Yogg-Saron? If Nyalotha is the old god afterlife, where were they? So where are they? Are they in the Shadowlands? Is N'Zoth in the Shadowlands? Is N'Zoth in the Maw now? Because he's been defeated? Obviously he's in a raid, so... But then, another one to think about is, what was I going to say now? So, we've got the Bastion stuff. Yeah, that's cool. But then, obviously we got that, and that, and that, and that. And the Maw, because obviously all the souls are being funneled to the Maw. What's happening? Why is the Machine of Death broken? What did Sylvanas do? What did the Jailer do? And also, who is the Jailer? We know from a leak what the Jailer looks like, and he looks kind of like a undead titan, but he's not. He kind of looks like a beefed up Ice King from Adventure Time, to be honest. But is the Jailer the true Lich King? Is the Jailer the Lich King's king?
Now keep an eye out.
And
I'll have this link in 2 shakes of it.
yeah, there's so many questions, and this is why I'm excited for the Shadowlands. There's so many possibilities. And there's also in Oribos, which is going to be our capital, the Lich King's king.
We might have a complication or two.
But no, is he in charge of the Lich King? Also, the Nathrazim, so the Dreadlords, they knew about the Shadowlands because Frostmourne was forged in Torghast, and we know that from the lore.
That's just my
So we know that the Frostmourne and the Lich King's armor and the Helm of Domination were all forged in the Shadowlands in the Moor, which is where the jailer and the black, and basically there's a very particular smith who runs the Shadowlands like forge, the forge within the Shadowlands and within the Moor specifically. Like I think it's called like the Dread Forge or something. And why did the Nathrazim know? And what did the Nathrazim know? Why did the Nathrazim want to do this? Why did the Nathrazim want to connect Azeroth to the Shadowlands exponentially? Why did they create that bond so that when it shattered, the veil would be completely gone? Why is there an entity called the Arbiter? And the Arbiter judges where the soul should go. If the machinery of death is broken, why is the Arbiter no longer able to send people where they're supposed to go? What's been done to the Arbiter? What's happened? What's happened to her? It is a her, we know about that. What's happened to the Arbiter? What's happened to...
I need to target something first.
What's happened to that? I think there's so many questions, and I think people are a little cynical about the Shadowlands, but for me, the Shadowlands is such an exciting possibility because of all the opportunities that it opens up. There's so many questions that I have that I want answered by Shadowlands. I want to know if the Titans... Do they know about the Shadowlands? Do the Titans know about the Shadowlands? Did the Titans create the Shadowlands? Did somebody create the Shadowlands? Who? And also, are there more realms in the Shadowlands than the ones we're going to? Because I think there are. I think they've said that already, but... If they are, what are they? And... Also, with... An interesting tidbit that... We know that Helheim is in the Shadowlands, and Helya is, and we know that Odin, from Legion, created Helya, the first Valkyr, against her will.
So that was the problem. Now
That means Odin, because Odin did sacrifice his eye to peer into the Shadowlands. Who did he sacrifice the eye to? Did he sacrifice it to the jailer?
hang on.
I require a
Nobody's
target.
gonna be sanitary.
Did he give his eye to the jailer? And if so, does that mean the jailer has Odin's eye and can peer into the world of the living?
Target.
These are all questions that I need answers to, and this is why I've pre-ordered and I'm hyped for Shadowlands. I think it's going to be amazing because it is new territory, it's entirely new lore. We're not revisiting an old place. Oh, I like your brain. Thank you. So obviously, if Odin gave his eye to peer into the Shadowlands, but he did sacrifice it to an unknown shadowy entity in the Shadowlands, then, and that was taken, his eye, which means that he could see the Shadowlands. So Odin knows about the Shadowlands, and we know that that's when he forced Helya to become a Valkyr. And Helya wasn't happy with that and wanted revenge on Odin. So Odin's not a good guy. Odin's a bad guy, if you ask me. Odin's not altruistic. Odin did not do the right thing. And also, like I say, because he can peer into the Shadowlands, if that eye has been taken, so he lost one eye to the Shadowlands and one eye to the living, then does that mean that the jailer now has that power? Yeah. So does that mean the jailer knows everything that's happening and this is all part of his plan? And also, why would the jailer need to see the world of the living? Does the jailer want to get out? Does the jailer want to do something with the world of the living that he... It's because he obviously is in charge of... He's the jailer.
What do you think I'm here
So,
for? Tea and biscuits? Spill
what
the
does
beans
he
already.
want with the world of the living? Is there particular souls that he
And
wants?
start.
Is there something he desires from the world of the living? And obviously he struck a bargain with Sylvanas. What is that? We know she got power out of it. In exchange for what? And we know from the whispers of Il'gynoth, and from what... so there's the 5 keys and 5 torches, which we have with the Pillars of Creation, which paved the way into Battle for Azeroth, which paved the way into Shadowlands. The Lord of the Ravens will turn the key. Now that sounds like a very cryptic one, but that whisper, the reason I say Lord of Ravens, well, Odin has 2 ravens. Havi, in his human form, has 2 ravens. If the Lord of Ravens is Odin, and he's already struck a bargain with the Shadowlands, then the Lord of Ravens has already turned the key. Or it could be referring to Sylvanas, because we've seen in the cinematic
I require a target.
that she has these like almost dark Valkyries surrounding her, which kind of have raven-like
I
wings.
do not have a target.
So maybe that's what the Lord
I
of
need to
Ravens
target
is.
something first.
And
I
what
require
does
a target.
Varimathras say in Antorus?
I need to target something first.
That she is patient, that's one. And she's talking about Sylvanas, and then also, when the shattered mask hangs above your hearth, then you will know it will be too late, or something like that. Which means that Varimathras has seen something, and knows what Sylvanas is planning. Bear in mind they used to be allies, so he knows. And he says that it will be too late before we realise what she's done. I think what she's done is this bargain with the jailer. And also Il'gynoth, going back to Il'gynoth for a second, says that the light has struck a bargain with the enemy of all, which would be death. And I think that refers to the current events in WoW, which is where the light created an undead. The light created a Lightforged undead in Kalia Menethil.
I require a target.
So the light created an undead, which is an abomination by the light standards. So the light struck a bargain with the enemy of all to create Kalia. Why? Why does the light need Kalia? What does she have to do with all of this? Well, I think Kalia's got an important role, because we know that in Revendreth the light is burning the ground. It's searing through. So why is the light... It's almost like the light is corrupting Revendreth. So I think there's a lot more lore around the light that we're going to see. And I think we're going to find out that, as much as we know already, the light is not necessarily good. And the void is not strictly bad. And I want to know what hand the void has in the Shadowlands. What else do I want to know? It's like, if you're interested in these lore discussions and these theories, things like that, there's a great YouTuber called Pyromancer, who does very extensive lore videos, and a lot of my theories that I have established in my own head have come from things he has said or ideas he has suggested, to the point where it's the only logical conclusion. Once again, that's Pyromancer. He is an excellent World of Warcraft YouTuber. And he is all about the lore. It's not like, it's me, your boy, we're doing arenas. Getting another beer. We're talking about the lore. We're talking about why the light actually sucks. We're talking about why... his theory is A&R, the Lifebinder, is actually the main villain in World of Warcraft, and it's really interesting. Whether I agree or not sure, but A&R being the villain is fascinating when you look at his reasoning. I want to know as well. A&R the Lifebinder.
I need to target something
So,
first. I
a
do not
Titan.
have a target. I require a target.
I'm pulling it up
I
on
need
my
to
screen
target
now.
something
We
first.
go to Antorus. A&R the Lifebinder. This Titan here. So
I do not have a target.
So A&R, this one here, A&R the Lifebinder. The theory, his theory is that she
Soft,
is.
shells.
I've been locked out.
Fragile lives. You
She is the
cannot
villain.
escape the curse of flesh.
So I've been locked out of this fight, so I'm just gonna dance. But yeah, his theory is that A&R is not good, and not good news, because A&R wants to forge everything in the name of life and the light, but she doesn't care about basically upsetting the balance. It's really interesting from a lore perspective.
This is a wee bit trickier than before. Oh, bloody incoming!
A&R is, in his theory, is a villain because she's actually in charge of the Pantheon. We all think it's Amantul, who is... Can I find Amantul in this? Is there a picture of Amantul in this? No. Amantul is the blue guy with the white beard. So he's supposedly like the leader of the Pantheon, except he's not, in the theory of Pyromancer, basically, and it's A&R, and A&R is actually the evil one. Sargeras isn't evil. A&R is the evil. And I think that's interesting, because it makes sense. If you take the abstract concept of the light necessarily isn't good, and the force of life isn't necessarily the force of good. And you've got... So you've got A&R. That's a fascinating theory. I mean, he explains it better than me. And there's a lot about Argus the Unmaker. So Argus the Unmaker,
That's downright bothersome. We might have neutralized
of course, being the final boss from Antorus, the Burning Throne.
Somewhere else. Churning out a whole mess of these iron frightful. I'll use the forge to make batches of earthen to stand guard.
And about how the
But our
Unmaker
greatest challenge
is...
still remains. Find and stop looking.
Maybe he wasn't the Titan of Death originally, and they call him the Death Titan. So Argus being... There's an aspect for everything in the Titan pantheon except for death. So their theory is that Argus the Unmaker was the Titan of Death, and that Sargeras used his power because of that. So I want to know, the Jailer. The Jailer was... The Jailer almost seems like he's from Titan origin when you look at him. I'm not going to tell you where to find that image, because of course they banned everybody who was posting the image of what the Jailer looks like. It was a leak. And obviously I don't want to tell people where to find it, but I've seen it. I saw it when it happened a few months ago. And I want to know who or what the Jailer
You don't
is.
have a target.
Where did he come from? Is he an ancient entity? Is he beyond ancient? Is he... Maybe he... Based on how he... I think that he could be a Titan. And the Titan of the afterlife specifically. I think he could be the brother of Amantul in the lore. But they refer to each other as brothers and sisters anyway, the Titans, so... That's who I think the jailer is. He's kind of like Hades in mythology terms.
I've been
I'm just going to end this part for YouTube, and then we'll be back in a second, so...